Welcome everyone to the Young Professional African Collective podcast. On YPAC, we talk about all things Africa, and we talk to people doing so many things on the African continent or pertaining to the African continent. Today, we have some amazing guests with us, and we're going to talk about the future of Africa, what it looks like, what can we build to make sure that it is a place where we're contributing to and we can contribute from. So today on our podcast, we have amazing guests, Akindele, Akinyemi, and Rerhi, Onomake. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So my goodness, where do we even start? I think the first place is one, just to give like a little bit of background of who you guys are. They're the founders of GABA, which is the Global African Business Association. And they'll get into a lot of the different things that that's happening with GABA and happening, how it started, all the different connections that they have, all the different resources that they have. So I'll give them a chance to briefly introduce themselves a little bit more. So,
yes. Well, I'm Rerhi Onomake. I am the CEO for GABA Network, so the Global African Business Association Network, which encompasses GABA Foundation and GABA Marketplace.
personally?
Personally and professionally, I am a realtor by profession. Mostly what I do is help with acquisitions of properties, both commercial and residential. And I just have a passion for really bringing people together, and really, and the foundation of what this is connecting the dots, particularly in this case, connecting the diaspora to continental Africa within the business space and what evolves from that.
Well, my name is Akindele Akinyemi. I'm the principal of the GABA Marketplace Center. We're based in Livonia, Michigan. I'm also a co-founder of the Global African Business Association Network. We've been around for about 11 years. The GABA Marketplace Center is our trade facilitation and also our business innovation as it pertains to trade with Africa and the rest of the diaspora. That's very important because one of the key things about our marketplace is we like to showcase our products, both agricultural and non-agricultural, from the continent of Africa, in particular West Africa, and I'm being biased, Nigeria first, because Nigerians are the best. Sorry about that for the rest of you out there. What we are working on right now in the GABA Marketplace Center is, number one, we are looking at space, physical space, to create distribution and warehouse spaces so that we can import our agricultural goods for distribution purposes here, not just in the state of Michigan, throughout the Midwest. That's one. Number two, we're looking at critical minerals. This is your lithium, your gold, your tin, to showcase to stakeholders here that you're going to look at other places around the world, whether it's Australia or Chile or China for critical minerals, but they all come into Africa for raw material. And so we are looking to do that. So one of the things I have a background in is education. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, I am an educator, and I've been educated for 25 years, both at the K-12 level and at the higher education level. I currently work in higher education. Come see me at Wayne County Community College District downtown campus. If you need assistance with career goals and academic choices, I'm your number one guy to go to. But outside of that, education piece, reason why we started GABA, because there was a gap in terms of resources for our community. Oftentimes we focus on the cultural aspects of our community, which is fantastic. However, how do you convert that cultural aspect into economic dollars? And how do you convert that economic dollars into power? And that's one of the core reasons why we started GABA, Global African Business Association Network, because we felt that we have a voice at the table. It's more than just as we don't have to beg for the crumbs from the table. when we have an entire continent to choose from and build resources from and build our own wealth. And that's what we're all about in the GABA network.
Amazing. I hope you guys have gotten all that down. Take notes if you need to. This is going to be very educational. So I want to go back to that time because you mentioned that GABA started and it's been around for 11 years. Can you go back to that time when you were founding it and just coming up with the idea of what should we do? Like why did that make sense for GABA to come to be so long ago?
So I'll start by saying that first, Akindele and I have been friends all of our lives. We've been friends since we were 15 years old.
Awesome.
So he was in Houston at the time. I was here in Detroit. And, it was a conversation, just kind of talking about how can we make impact. I knew somebody in the city of Inkster, and we were trying to figure out, okay, well, we know Highland Park, we know these little communities and whatnot. Our overall vision is how are we going to bring these dollars, okay, that exist in these small urban communities and exist in these communities within the continent of Africa in these respective countries. How are we going to bridge that gap? Because the issue has been, we've been looking at other people to help bridge a gap that is our responsibility to bridge. It's our bridge. Right. So we have to be the ones to do the work. Mm-hmm. So it started from there, and it kind of became, well, what do you know? We, started working, and Akindele is the person that had the mastermind in terms of, he's a wealth of resources and contacts and kind of understands the political landscape. So it was more an education for me in the process. So I had an idea, but the vision that I had, his vision was so much larger because he knew how to put the steps and the pieces in place to make that happen. So the real issue was, how do we do this? And we came to Inkster, as you know, small community outside the city of Detroit, 10 miles west of Detroit, became entrenched in the community. Everything from being appointed to the Downtown Development Authority to the Tax Increment Finance Authority, getting to know the players in the community, getting to know the mayor. The mayor had traveled to the continent on multiple occasions, had been to multiple countries, understood the vision, and said, this makes complete sense. Let's do it. How do we do it? I'm going to put you here. I'm going to put you there. So that's kind of how it started. And then, I'm sure Akindele will go into detail, about how it kind of manifested from there, but really being able to kind of position ourselves, because that's another thing that we don't do typically as Africans. We are very siloed many times. We get into the communities, but we don't participate in the communities to really understand the landscape of the communities and how we can benefit, from the communities through our participation in the communities, because people need to see us. And then we need to, be in these positions where we're making decisions, because when it comes to the political side of it, and, Akindele can go further into it, they're making decisions for us. So we have to be in those positions so we make decisions for us.
And I love that you said that, because I was going to ask about that. Like, why is it important for us to be in the political space, and why is it important for you, both of you all, to decide to use the business aspect, use the political aspect, and really, set the steps for GABA? So,
Inkster, we started in Inkster. We started as a National African Business Association in 2014. One of our first assignments was to develop a credit union. That was one of our key things. How do you develop a credit union? That didn't go so well. We looked at some of the grocery stores. We saw the Inkster African Caribbean store. Been friends with Uche ever since. We started, as Rerhi pointed out, we started getting involved. Downtown Development Authority. Why is that so important, though, for your viewers? Anytime you join a Downtown Development Authority or any authority in a municipality, what happens there, how it works, is you capture what is called tax increment finance dollars, and for redevelopment purposes. Now, unfortunately, with Inkster's situation, we couldn't capture tax dollars because the property values at that time were too low. So we looked at other creative ways to use our DDA to our advantage. So one of the key things that we worked on, along with Ralph Detroit, with Paul Carr, was the Cultural Arts District that we wanted to develop. And we ended up facilitating to put up 2 murals in our cultural arts space in the city of Inkster, kind of give Inkster an identity to deal with. Then with the Tax Increment Finance Authority Board, which is your economic development corporation in Inkster, there was some hit and misses right there. We were trying to get moving with that. We had some modest success. Myself decided to run for the library board in the city of Inkster, won that seat. I helped facilitate, ladies and gentlemen, almost a $2 million project, capital improvement project to build your new library, the Leanna Hicks Public Library of Inkster. And so that library right now is rocking and rolling with programs. Please visit, go to our website and look at some of the things that's going on in our library. I still serve as the president of the library board in the Leanna Hicks Public Library of Inkster. It's one of our grant institutions, in part because we're autonomous from the city of Inkster. That means we're not part of the city fabric. We have our own budget. We have our own tax structure and the whole 9 yards. That's significant for a Nigerian, ladies and gentlemen, because oftentimes we do not get involved in politics. And I guarantee you this, the policies that are being developed right now, whether it's pro or con, they're making decisions without you being at the table. You need to be involved. I've been involved in politics from a public policy perspective well over 25 years. I've helped run campaigns here in the city of Detroit. I've knocked on doors for candidates. I've helped run city council races. I've helped run school board races. It's a very rewarding experience. But using this platform in GABA right now, even in the Marketplace Center, as me being a principal, for us to sit down and speak to lawmakers to develop our own public policies. There's a bill coming out next week on our behalf, the African Caribbean Commission bill. I got to talk to you about that. Okay. African Caribbean Commission bill. That is to help develop a African Caribbean Trade Commission here in the state of Michigan. That is because of what's happening in D.C. with the African Growth Opportunity Act, which is due to expire in September of this year. So we need some type of consistent synergy going into 2026 about how do we trade with Africa right here in the state of Michigan. So that's a bill GABA helped work. Other things like the resolution for the African Growth Opportunity Act, which Senator Erica Geis introduced a couple of years ago on our behalf. There are other bills that she's introduced, all because we're at the table. And so I encourage your viewers here to get involved with policy making by speaking to you, not just speaking to your state rep, your state senator. You can speak to your city council person. You should know who your city council person is. You should know who your mayor is. And more importantly, you should know what issues are on the table as it pertains to in terms of your ordinances. You should know what a master plan is. You should know what your zoning ordinance look like, because these are the things that can make or break your business. These are the things that can make and break a community.
Drive direction of that community. So if you don't like something, it's likely because you weren't engaged enough to know that it was coming before it showed up.
I hope y'all are getting this. This has been good already. And just a little bit of background about me, in relation to GABA. So I first found out about GABA in 2000, I think that was 14, maybe 15. Yeah. But you all came to U of M's campus at our African Student Association and spoke for maybe it was 30 minutes. I don't even know how long it was, but it was really impactful. And it was just something that I've always envisioned wanting to do at a certain point, really figuring out how do we bridge the gap between the U.S. and Africa, because I'm Nigerian myself, and that's always going to be something that I look to, the African continent and the diaspora. So I feel like for a while, I was just kind of looking and observing and just participating how I could, but in all these years, one thing that I've noticed is just the consistent drive forward, the different ways that you've all have pivoted and just figuring out like what is the next best step. How do you connect the right people? How do you continue to move forward even with opposition and setbacks? So thank you all for continuing to keep moving, if anything else. Like, it really is inspirational for so many people.
We've inspired so many people. Over the years, people have, honestly, we've inspired people. People have left, started their own chamber. People have started their own business. We start businesses all the time. We're a job creator in this network. We provide job creation. We provide innovation. We provide economic development. We provide community development. We give folks an opportunity to shine in our network. And whether you decide to stay or move on, there's nothing negative people can say about us because we give people a first chance to shine. And so, this is not a network or where we're trying to become millionaires by scamming people or anything like that. We're not sitting here having chicken dinners and eating stale water, drinking stale water and hard green beans. We're not here to do any of that stuff. We're here to do the work. And the reality of the situation is, folks, right now, with all the geopolitical chaos that's going on in the world right now, with you have the president of Trump, he's in a conflict, not conflict, but he's playing a geopolitical game. On one end, he's talking about illegal immigration. On the other end, he's talking about critical minerals. President Zelensky showed up at the White House. They sat there and argued. Then he's offered $50 billion for critical minerals. He wants to take over Greenland because of critical minerals. People don't know that. The public don't know that. He just thinks it's some crazy idea. Trying to make Canada the 51st state. Why is he saying that? Critical minerals. You have the president of the DRC offered his freedom through critical minerals in exchange for security deal. So this critical mineral thing is highly important. It is the driving force and driving geopolitical force that can make or break you. Wars can be created over this. This whole technology in this podcast is based on critical minerals, and people need to understand the importance of that. So where does Nigeria fit? 1% of the mining industry in Nigeria is developed. Okay. 1%. Now, if you are a representative, and I'm talking to you on television, if you're a representative of the state of Michigan, and I'm telling you 1% of the mining sector in Nigeria is developed, which leaves room for 99% to be developed, how come the state is not involved in this? We have been trying to get the state to have conversations with stakeholders in Nigeria to help them understand that as things become more expensive, especially this trade war between China and the U.S., where I think China just slapped 145% tariff on the U.S., or something give or take. We slapped 100 and something percent on them. Everybody's going to be looking for different raw material. Right. And Nigeria is right there. What is the purpose of us? The purpose of us is to create community development through a pipeline between Africa, state of Michigan, to create wealth, jobs, and reinforcement of communities, especially in urban areas. One thing that people understand about us is that we have 18 cities in this state under our orbit. Now, if you show me another chamber that does that for Africans, let me know. But we have 18 cities.
So what exactly does that mean, 18 chambers?
We not 18 chambers. We're one chamber, have 18 cities on our orbit, meaning that we have relationships with those people in those cities. So if, let's say, for instance, they don't want to come to Detroit to do business, they come to Inkster. Well, we know the mayor of Inkster. We know the mayor of Westland. We know the mayor of Romulus. We know the mayor of Flint. We know who's in Pontiac. We know who to turn to in Benton Harbor, Mayor Muhammad. We know these folks. So we have these relationships. And these relationships, maybe you don't want to come to Detroit. Maybe you want to go to Benton Harbor and develop something. I'll put you in front of Mayor Muhammad. Maybe you want to go to Grand Rapids. Well, we have our sister group of it that can help navigate that process. Michigan Legislative Black Caucus, they've been very supportive of what we've done here in the state, economically and politically. So this is not a this is not a time for us to pat ourselves on the back. This is a time for us to really roll up our sleeves and go to work. So this trade piece and this trade and investment piece is very, very critical, and it's very important.
It is. There are so many pieces and parts to it. I think we realize that there are more pieces and parts to it every day as we're doing the work. But I'm going to go back a few steps, because I know we were talking about the political aspect of this. Because the other part of what we do, or primarily Akindele has done, is really groom young, budding politicians, getting them together because they understand in their respective states. So we're here in Michigan, but in their respective states, working with them to win campaigns, to run, so that they're engaged. Because again, it's not going to just be myself and him doing this. We need to build the network outside and around so that we have the support. So we can, those people that he's talking about calling, he can call the mayor of Benton Harbor, he can call Saginaw, he can call this state rep, is because of those relationships that have been built. So again, going back to, grooming young people, not necessarily young, anyone who wants to run, anyone who has an interest, anyone who has the vision can see how to put this together, is another important piece.
That's amazing. One thing that I've wanted to know is, when you're thinking about like even approaching, like how do you even now take all these connections and ideally it's running its full force in Nigeria or another country? What is that first step to even take to even consider doing something as daunting as, okay, now we're going to the African continent? What does that even look like?
I was going to say, in our case, part of it was, again, the same types of relationships you're building over here are the same types of relationships you're building over there. So it's about really being able to identify, key players, people who are serious people, not, this person told me, this person's doing, real people who have real context, and they have a context and understanding of the overall objective. Yeah. So people who have decision-making power, people who have decision-making power, who are going to put you in contact with people who are ready to make things happen and make business happen, because that's where we are at this point.
Right.
Our relationship with Nasima, our relationship with various organizations and individuals who continually see what we're doing on this end, and when they step foot on the ground here in Michigan, they see that this is real. They see the level of seriousness. We take them to the places and put them in front of the places and people that they need to be in front of. So they know that it's not just a talk. These things are real. So they know they're doing real work over there. They see that we're doing real work here. They're, more inept to say, okay, all right, now I'm going to put you here. I'm going to put you there. Then you sit down, start strategizing.
Yeah. Awesome. So I know there's so many things happening with GABA right now. Can you talk about a few of those things? I know if you guys aren't on their newsletter, I'll send that information. It'll be in the description box. But you want to be on that description in that newsletter because there's so many different things happening. But if you could just talk about a few things that are happening.
So we'll be working with Wayne State University, Mandela Foundation with Yali.
Awesome.
So they will be here for about a month or so. And Akindele can go more into detail about this, but I think what was recognized in previous cohorts was that the African student population that was visiting, they were not being introduced to and immersed in the African, places, spaces, and culture here in Michigan. Mm-hmm. So there was a recognition of that, and this year we are planning, things for these groups so that they can have the full experience.
Awesome.
They can go to the 4th of July picnic.
Yeah.
They can, participate in various things that are reflective of who and what our community do, about, enjoy, and get the full experience.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things. We have others. You want to talk about GABA Glow?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
GABA. Yeah, we want you out there to come to our GABA Glow dinner. This is going to take place on Sunday, August 24th, from 4 to 5 at the DoubleTree Hotel in Dearborn. This year we decided to give everyone a synopsis and kind of a snapshot of what GABA has been doing and where we're going in the future. So the GABA Glow Dinner is an awesome opportunity. If you're running for office, this is where you should be at. Those who are in our community, put on your African attire and look royal, because we want to show the world who we are. We also have the UNGA, that's the United Nations General Assembly.
Okay.
We have that coming up with the U.S. Africa Business Expo. They host an event there every year in New York City. Our team supports that. We have One Voice Africa reception coming up at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation Annual Legislative Conference in September. We also have, and also there are just some other things that we're working on business-wise. We're looking, of course, to move forward with the GABA Marketplace Center as it pertains to our e-commerce component, which is called the Marketplace Exchange, through the Duchess store. So Duchess is a company in Nigeria that has a partnership with the GABA Marketplace Center. It's ran by Dr. Victoria Akai, who has been actually with GABA we've been around 11 years. She had to be around for 9.
Awesome.
So she's been around a very, very long time. She was very early instrumental in terms of moving us into that global space when she was the Director General of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Abuja, and now she's running the Duchess Naturals Limited, where they're part of our major supply chain, and she has been instrumental in connecting myself and the rest of our leadership with suppliers on the agro side as well as the non-agro side, so that we can present this type of stuff to our economic development partners, whether it's Wayne County or the state of Michigan and whatnot. But these are some of the main things that's coming up in our GABA network. Our GABA Foundation, your audience need to go to thegabafoundation.org. You need to check out thegabafoundation.org with a slew of things that's going on through the foundation, and that our executive director, Ronald Rose Akama Makia, has been doing an extraordinary job of rebranding and refurbishing the GABA network through the foundation end. And so we definitely want to commend her hard work. There's plenty of programs, certifications, and things of that nature to show the community that we mean business.
For sure. What type of certifications do you offer?
So one major certification that we're slowly but surely rolling out is the African Business Enterprise Certification. Now, this is different, and let me just say this to your audience. This is totally different from the Minority Business Enterprise Certification or the Women Business Enterprise Certification. This is a certification for African-based businesses, and you have to go through our GABA Works Technical Assistance Program to even qualify to be certified through this. Our GABA Works Technical Assistance Program is both domestic and international. It is our flagship technical assistance program. It's done completely 100% online. There are 10 modulars. You don't have to sit in the classroom for weeks on end. You could just do it on your phone and get and you can get certified every time you complete a module. What happens is once you complete those modules, then I do a one-on-one with you. As a business, I do a one-on-one, a Zoom meeting, a quick Zoom meeting. It's not even long. There's no, I don't have the FBI next to me. There is no CIA, nothing like that. Yeah. We do a quick 15-minute discussion, and then I send people to the African Business Enterprise portal, where they'll complete the process, they'll get verified and certified. So we do have about 5, maybe 6 businesses so far that has been certified. I haven't revealed anything on social media just yet because I'm waiting on some other technical things to happen before we do that. But this is us. Yeah. This is, I have been working on this certification roughly since 2019. Okay. And I've held it off. But as what was happening was Dutch's Naturals, they started really showcasing these suppliers to me. Okay. People who are FDA approved with these agro products that want to get into this American market right away. And that's what forced me to say, you know what, we need a technical assistance and a certification on the foundation end. So myself, Rona Rose, and Dr. Elizabeth Ajay Bridges, we all work together to put these instruments in, and we just roll them out. Amazing.
So I want you all, before we break for this podcast, I want you to remember a few things. Relationships are key, because that's really how you build a network and an ecosystem to be able to do so many amazing things for so long. Get to know your local official governments. Get involved if you are interested. Connect with GABA. Make sure you come out to all the different events. And before I end, I just want to end with like a little fun note. If you can think back to the days of my ASA in 2015, 16 or so, is there a song, like an Afrobeat song, that kind of like remind you of that time?
I have so many. The creativity that it engineered my thinking to create this kind of creative spaces for GABA early on in 2015 when we came and spoke to you and your group. I've always been a believer in reaching young adults. We have a very large millennial population in GABA. I forgot to mention that. Mm-hmm. And mostly, and 80% of our population are women. You guys need to really know that. So we have young women that's feeling this innovation in the Global African Business Association Network, and that's very important to know, because other organizations is kind of the polar opposite. It's more baby boomer, male. So it's the mindset is different, as opposed to being innovative and so forth. So Afrobeat, what Afrobeat song? Not sure, but can't think of one in particular, but I know that it's the music, even in 2015, that drove me to where we are today.
Mm-hmm. Do you have one?
I don't know why I keep thinking like around that time it was like Wande Cole, Rotators.
Okay.
I think that's one that I was kind of feeling then. But
are there any final thoughts, final points?
I think it's just important for us at this point to really understand the role that we're tasked with, the responsibility that we have to the world at this point. Mm-hmm. Because it's not a small role. Right. It isn't. We've always been the driver, the engineer, and the fueler of this world. We have been. If not through our resources, our natural resources, it's been through our creativity, it's been through our ingenuity, and it's time for us to pull that together and harness that in, understand the obligation we have, not just to ourselves, but to the vision of the future for those that come after us. Because I think that is something that I know we speak as if we understand it. We don't behave that way.
Right.
So we have to do differently, and I have a lot of faith in the young people. I do. It's a very, heavy basket to carry, but I think it can be done. I know it can be done, and I know that we collectively can do that. support our African-led businesses. We want to engage you. We want you to be engaged with us. So I know all of our information will be out there to be found. Us supporting you is, that's the work we're talking about. And it's reciprocal. It becomes reciprocal. Yeah. So these businesses that we're talking about building and supporting to make these dollars and profit and build our respective countries back at home, it is imperative that we support each other, not just in words, but in dollars.
Yeah.
I'd like to say to your audience, first of all, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here.
I'd like to say to your audience, this is 2025. And what I want us to understand is that we're not poor. We don't have to accept poverty as the norm. We don't have to beg for the crumbs that fall from the table. We don't have to have a seat at the table. We can build our own table, build our own chairs, and write the contents of the menu the way we see fit. The Global African Business Association Network is moving forward. Our GABA Foundation is moving forward. The GABA Marketplace Center is moving forward. We're not looking back after 11 years. We are a very profitable and not just profitable, but also a very strategic organization. We don't accept foolishness in our network. Laziness is not going to be the norm. It's never been the norm from day one. This is a network that you have to roll your sleeves up and work. And so, because when you work, you are rewarded what that prosperity that you deserve. And so when we're talking about building bridges with the diaspora, it's not about tribalism. It's not about you being Igbo, I'm being Yoruba, Robo, whoever. It's none of that. We're one Nigeria.
Right.
Period. And we need to understand that tribalism, religion, all these things can divide us if we let it. The enemy wants us to be divided so they can conquer us. Yeah. But that's not what we do in GABA.
Yeah.
What we do in GABA is lift you up. And what we do is we give you an opportunity to shine. We do. You either shine or you don't shine. But I'm going to tell you this. As a principal of the GABA Marketplace Center, everybody know I don't play. When it's time to roll our sleeves up in Lance and they see me coming, they go, "Oh my God, Jesus Christ!" When they when folks see me at these events in Detroit, they go, "Oh my God, he's going to talk about Africa." You know why I talk about Africa? Because you guys are talking about the hood. If you could talk about the hood, I could talk about Africa. The difference is that Arabs, our Middle Eastern brothers and sisters, our Arab brothers and sisters, they have a right to talk about Gaza from a political standpoint. They do. That's geopolitics. MAGA talk about illegal immigration, geopolitics. Jewish people talk about Israel, the state of Israel, geopolitics. But Asian people, they talk about, the Asian market, the 4 Asian tigers like China and so forth, geopolitics. How come black people are not talking about Africa? It's geopolitics. That is where we're going. Okay. And so we need to be serious about why Africa matters, why Africa first, and we should be unapologetic about talking about Africa from an economic and community perspective to build wealth, prosperity for our future generations. And we should do it without any fear. We shouldn't have to go put Africa on the back of the bus about this to talk about social justice issues on 7 Mile and Greenfield. We shouldn't have to do those things. What we should be talking about is geopolitics and geoeconomics, the way these other groups are doing, so that we can position ourselves as a global player in the 21st century. And I'll leave with that.
Which we are. Well, thank you all. This is amazing.
Thank you.
Yes. So again, all the information will be in the description box. It should be down below as well. Make sure you follow GABA. Make sure you follow the YPAC podcast so you can get to know more things that are happening. A lot of the people that I do plan to continue these conversations with are part of GABA. So you want to be a part of GABA. You want, to have your place here too. So thank you, and I hope you tune into the next episode of YPAC. Thanks.